In Chapter 11, a revelation with 0 strength and magic against enemies with 100 crit, an unfortunate trend begins where each map starts taking several hours to complete, and this starts with a mass influx of the most threatening enemy type in the challenge. Ninjas. Their high res, 1-2 range, and crippling debuffs make them very tricky to deal with. This map starts us in an open area, absolutely surrounded by enemies, with 3 green allied units to recruit. There's Saizo, who has 0 strength and magic, Orochi, who has 0 strength and magic, and Reina, who has 0 strength and 0 magic. Saizo's personal skill, Pyrotechnics, is an extra Savage Blow effect when he is under half HP. Activating this is very difficult, but combining with Savage Blow and Replicate makes him the absolute strongest unit in the game in terms of AoE damage output. Orochi is one of 2 units in the Revelation route that can capture enemies, but unfortunately she is way too weak to do so, and even if she could, it wouldn't be worth the trouble. And the third unit is Reina, who is a pre-promoted Kinshi Knight and an excellent filler unit. Being a high move flyer is incredibly useful for anything mobility related, and her bow axes and high speed let her remain relevant against flying enemies even into the late game. Recruiting these 3 units is actually pretty tricky because if you don't do it on turn 1, Reina will fly off and get herself killed, which is bad. Getting the recruit on turn 1 will require neutralizing several units while wasting Korin and Azura's actions to talk to Saizo and secure the recruit. This ends up requiring a very intricate plan, and it takes me around 10 resets and more than 2 hours to work out a strategy that gets me past turn 1. I start by freezing one of the 3 enemies I have to fight and then attack a nearby Oni Savage with Kaze to debuff his defense. This lets a Takumi with a strength and speed tonic, extra bonus damage for competitive, quick draw, and a Hinata pair up to double and kill the Oni Savage with an absolutely massive damage stack. I then pair Korin with Tsubaki, using a dance with Azura to boost him over to Saizo to talk and recruit the 3 green units. This doesn't end Korin's turn, so I'm able to switch transfer him onto Saizo. Saizo can then transfer Korin onto Orochi, allowing her to move in and swap to Korin to give Korin additional magic damage and an additional turn. Korin can then fight the nearby ninja with boosted damage, and I then follow this up by having a newly recruited Reina move adjacent to Takumi, trade an Iron Numi +2, transfer over Hinata for the +4 strength and defense pair up, and double the ninja for 14 damage. Finally, Oboro moves in for the kill, cleanly neutralizing the threat without being debuffed, which conveniently allows her to survive an attack from the frozen ninja next turn. And this complicated turn 1 solve ends up being the hardest part of the map. The entire left side of the map becomes aggressive on turn 5, but I'm in a position to trap them all at a 1-tile choke point with Korin, and most of the remaining enemies on the right can be baited and fall in small groups, which is mechanically simple, but takes a long time. As I approach the final area, I now need to contend with the Master Ninjas, who are very strong. Korin has enough defense to tank their attacks, but in turn he cannot do any damage to them because they have a ridiculous 20 resistance. To deal with them, I stack everything I have onto Takumi, using a Hana backpack for speed, combined with bow weapon triangle advantage and defensive auras from Sakura and Felicia. Unfortunately, I couldn't use Hinata here because he was needed to buff Korin's defense. This combo lets me deal damage while surviving the counter, even though I have to wait for several turns each time to recover from the debuffs. Using this, I managed to defeat both Master Ninjas as well as Kotaro to complete the map after nearly 3 hours of effort. After the chapter, we get to recruit Kagero, who has 0 strength and magic. Kagero is a ninja like Kaze and Saizo. Unfortunately, she is the least useful ninja, since she doesn't have a pairing that gives her the Wyvern Rider class line. Instead, I will pair her with Takumi so that he can get Replicate and cosplay as his final boss form from the Conquest route.